Hello everybody, I'm Antonio with Dynamic Property Partners, and we are in the house, but we're not in the building yet. So for those of you that don't know, Dynamic Property Partners is a residential redevelopment and solutions company. So that's why I say we're in the house, but we're not in the building yet. Because we're not looking towards doing any deals with shopping centers or Walmart, anything that's commercial. We're strictly residential. So get used to that joke. I know I'm probably gonna wear it out, but I'm good at that. So until I can come up with another joke, which if you know me, I don't have many, y'all gonna hear that one for a while. Now let's get into today's topic. What is the difference between a real estate agent and a real estate investor? So now being a real estate agent is more of a career choice. It's more of a career path, where being a real estate investor is more of an entrepreneur path. In the next coming minutes, we'll be able to see why being a real estate agent is more of a career path and why being a real estate investor is more of an entrepreneur path. One, a real estate agent works for a broker. Real estate agent works for a broker, where real estate investor works for self or for LLC. And the reason is because as an investor, you don't necessarily need your LLC from the beginning, but it's good practice. And you would say you work for the LLC because you're not really an owner of an LLC. You're either a manager or a president. That's the whole point of, having an LLC, is to protect yourself. And this is where the entrepreneurship side comes in, where as a real estate agent is working for a broker. They're coming into a business that's basically already established, when as a real estate investor, you're starting from the ground up. Granted, a real estate agent starts from the ground up as well, because they have to go through testing, do their fingerprints and all of that to get their license to then be able to work for the broker. But the broker is basically overseeing their work, and they're working for a broker. You're working for another company. So when the real estate agent makes commissions, they actually split those commissions with the broker. So that's where you can see it becomes more of a career path and not something that is necessarily your own business, even though as a real estate agent, you should treat it like your business, because that's the only way you're going to make money. You need to go hard on marketing and building your relationships and things like that. But you could see where there's a difference here, where as a real estate agent, you're working for a company, and as a real estate investor, you're working for yourself. So next we'll get into the roles of a real estate agent and a real estate investor. So a real estate agent, they represent the buyer seller, and a real estate investor doesn't represent a buyer or a seller. So that's the difference there, because a real estate agent is trying to help a seller sell their house by listing it and helping them with the marketing aspect of it. Also make sure that they're protected with, certain paperwork and things like that. Same thing with the buyer. The buyer's agent is also making sure paperwork is correct. That the house is, inspection ready and all of that. Where with a real estate investor, they're not representing the seller. They're actually trying to purchase the house from a seller. And most of the time, they're purchasing a house from a seller that's distressed, a seller that might have a serious plumbing issue, could be a septic tank issue, foundation issues, roof. These things cost lots of money. So what they'll do is they'll look for homes that are having these issues to then purchase them at a discounted rate. because now they have to go in and invest into these properties and fix all these issues themselves, so that they can then make a profit, where agents make a commission, which is what we're going to get into, is going to be our last topic. But yes, so another thing on that subject, real estate investors take a lot of risk with, being able to fix and flip a house. There's a lot. Real estate investing isn't just fixing and flipping. There's a lot involved with it, but that is one of the main things where it becomes tricky. Just as Zillow. Zillow tried to get in the game, and they haven't been doing too well. It's a much tougher game than what it looks like being a real estate investor, because it takes so much just to get the deal. You have to market so much. Then dealing with the seller not sure if they need help. I mean, the seller, sometimes looking at you like you're just coming in there trying to steal their house. But the thing is, when your house needs $80,000 worth of work, it's probably a good thing for you to get out of your home, because it's dangerous, to be honest. So investors actually help a lot when it comes to these situations. An investor can also help with different deed programs if someone's behind on payments, things like that. So the investor doesn't represent sellers. They usually are looking, for sellers that are selling their home. They do work with agents and brokers, because a real estate investor still needs agents most of the time to finish the transaction as well. So that's going to be the two different things there, with agents representing buyers and sellers for the purpose of helping them sell their home, and the purpose of making sure that paperwork and things like that are correct, where real estate investors actually looking for sellers that want to get rid of their home, and preferably discounted sellers, distressed sellers, which real estate agents don't really like to deal with too much, because the commissions are smaller, because they know that there's a lot of damage on the property and only an investor can purchase it. So that's going to be the difference there with that. An investor is looking for sellers that want to sell their house, and an agent helps sellers sell their home. And if an agent's smart, they would actually work with investors, because even though sometimes the commissions may be smaller, there's going to be more volume. And on top of that, the commission's not always going to be smaller, because don't forget, that investor now has to flip that house. So that investor is going to need a seller's agent as well when they go to sell the home. Not all the time, but a lot of times an investor will use an agent because it just saves them time. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They do things, they trade time for money. So depending on how much something will cost, they rather pay for it and or have somebody else do it, while they have more time to go get more deals or get more things done and be more productive. Now, really quick, before I get into the cost of fees associated with being a real estate agent, I forgot and didn't put on my board, does an agent or an investor need a license or not? Because my board is a little too small. I think I need to get a bigger budget. No, I'm just messing around. I forgot. But I'm going to include that in with the cost and fees with a real estate agent, because you do need a license to be a real estate agent. And to do that, you got to go through a course, then you take a test, and then you have to pay for your background and fingerprints. So just starting off to get your license as a real estate agent can range anywhere from $600 to $800. Then after that, you have fees once you're licensed and you get into a broker, with the broker, you have certain fees, desktop fees, technology fees, omissions and insurance. Now, depending what broker you're working with, you might not have certain fees. They can change here and there. But depending on your state, to be a real estate agent, your fees end up coming out to anywhere from $800 to $1,500 a year to be a real estate agent. Now, as a real estate investor, you don't need a license. You have business costs and LLC costs. As a real estate investor, you don't necessarily have to have an LLC, but it's recommended. A LLC can cost anywhere from $200 to $700 a year, depending on your state. And now the business cost is mainly marketing cost. That's how your real estate investor is going to find their deals. They also work with agents. Networking with agents is also another way. But a lot of it is, different softwares and tools that show you how to show you deal information and help you find deals. That'll be another video. Actually, we're going to go over those different softwares and different marketing tools that a real estate investor uses. And now we'll get into how the income is generated. So a real estate agent makes commissions, where real estate investor, they invest for profits. So a real estate agent, when they sell a home, it's a 3% commission, but that commission is split with the broker, and that depends on the contract with the broker and the experience of the real estate agent. So when they sell a house, an agent is going to be splitting that percentage. So in reality, an agent is really making anywhere from 1.5 to 2% each time they sell a home. Now, with a real estate investor, they invest for profits. There are different ways to invest in real estate. One of the main ways that we all think of is a fix and flip. So for a fix and flip, good real estate investors are looking for at least 20% profit margin when looking for a deal. And the reason for that is things come up. So really you want to look, 15% isn't bad, but 20% is a better mark to hit when looking for a deal. So if you buy a house for $150K and you have to put $50K into it, that's $200,000 spent altogether. So 200,000 times 20% is going to be 40,000. That's the number you're going to be looking at to make. As an investor, that's how they look at when they're doing fix and flips. They make their money through profit margins. So now you would think that they can just sell that house for $240 and they make their $240,000. Doesn't work that way, because there are different costs associated with selling a house. You got your seller transaction fees, closing costs, staging costs. There are other costs that actually come into play when doing a fix and flip. So in actuality, they're going to want to sell that house for $280, $290 in order to make that $40,000 profit on that particular project. Another way investors generate income is through actually selling contracts to another investor, which is a pretty cool way to do real estate investing. That's a whole nother video we're going to get into later on as well in the near future. And another way is real estate investors like to invest in projects where they don't have to do nothing. They just put up the capital and they get a percentage. It could be anywhere from 8 to 12%. Right now, actually at Dynamic Property Partners, we're accepting investors to make anywhere from 8 to 12%, which isn't a bad return when you start looking into finances. I'm sure people that deal with stocks are like, oh, well, Amazon made 3,000%. Okay, now how many times in a decade does that happen? And did you take the money out? So, you know, stocks are good, but it's just two different animals. And to me, maybe I'm a little biased, real estate investing is the best investing that you can do. It's tangible. And so now that we know the difference between a real estate agent and a real estate investor, now we can go over some other real estate topics. Like and subscribe and leave a comment and let me know what real estate topic you want me to go over. Or Aubrielle. Actually, we'll have her doing a few videos in the near future as well. So guys, it was great. I'm glad and I hope I answered a lot of the questions that we were getting about being a real estate agent and real estate investor with this video. And we just wish and hope everybody to have a peaceful, prosperous, and productive day. See you on the next one.